Hello everyone, welcome back to Patriot Ridge Farm, and we got the trees cut down from where the greenhouse is going to go. Now they were over here just kind of on the bank, but they were close enough to where if they fell they could potentially cause damage to the greenhouse. So they were two large, semi-large wild cherry trees. So we got them cut down, got them limbed up for the most part, got a couple piles of limbs there. And about 10 years ago, I bought a chipper for the back of the tractor. It's a 3-point hitch chipper, runs off the PTO. And this little thing has been, it's been great. I've used it several times in the past. I'll walk you around here. So this is a Champion CX 550. And my little 40 horsepower John Deere right there runs it great. I think it's got a 5-inch opening here. Let's see. Yeah, I think it's a 5-inch opening. So, you know, all the limbs I got here, it'll definitely do. So no problem at all. I've got firewood for next year. I unfortunately didn't get the time to cut up firewood for this year. So I'll be buying a couple loads. All right, couple round bales of mulch hay here. This is this is horse manure here. And there's some grass clippings and stuff in there that's been worked down. What I'm gonna do is tear these bales up, put them, just kind of do layers back and forth, and then I'm going to put all the chips. I got the vent right there, the exhaust for that chipper, and I'm going to put them all right here on top of it and let them start to compost down and really build something good for next year. All right, so if you're going to keep chickens outside, if you live in an area like we live where you have aerial and ground predators, electric fencing or electric netting is always a good choice. One of the things I've run into with this Premier One electric netting, and I just turned the charger off, is the bottom wire here, or the bottom netting, that black right there, that stuff's really good and tight and stays that way, but the top seems to stretch out. So as you set the posts and stuff, you see this sag you got there, no matter what you do, you always end up with a sag. Even on level ground, it sags. So the top line stretches, but the bottom line doesn't. So that's where you end up with sag. Now this is the coop that I bought off of Amazon. Now this thing was $260 delivered, and I'll tell you, it's flimsy. All it is like the pop-up tents. It's got the, I think it's 1/2-inch tubing, and it's got the little pop-up little things there that lock it in place. And because it was still so flimsy, I went ahead and drove some self-drilling screws in there just at the joints. I can pop them out and take this thing apart. It comes with that vinyl chicken fence. It's metal, but it's vinyl coated. So I went ahead and got it, put it on with zip ties. I'm close to probably over 350 zip ties in this thing right now. Now these, of course, are the Cornish cross that we've decided to raise and keep for breeding. I had to call 3 of them, because they just had gotten so big they weren't able to walk. So it was 1 rooster and 2 hens. So these are the last 4 left. Looks like the roosters have been tussling a little bit. Oh yeah, they've been tussling a little bit, and they're huge. But the girls are laying eggs, and they are practicing what they preach, because I've seen them doing it. So I'm not going to hatch out these eggs. These chickens are going to get mixed in with the others here soon to start a breeding for the new breeds that we want to try to develop here. Matter of fact, there's an egg right there. All right, so this thing does come with a tarp. It really doesn't come down over the sides, but it does what it does. The door is just a slide latch, or a pretty tight, but that's how you open it up and walk in. I hung a trough feeder there, and the water is just a 5-gallon bucket hanging off the back up there, off the frame, and with the bell water. So $260. I mean, it is what it is. I hate to spend that money on something that's probably not going to last too long, but it was quick. It was pretty easy to put together, and the thing that took the most time, of course, was getting the chicken wire on it. Now I know some people are going to say, well, predators can get through chicken wire. Well, they got to get through the electric netting first. All right, the well, you see the hose here. I've been cycling it, trying to do it at least every day, trying to get this well. They refer to new wells as being established. So you have to cycle it multiple times over, pretty much run out the reservoir to it, let it refill, run out the reservoir, let it refill, run out the reservoir, let it refill. Just back and forth stuff. So I've been trying to do that, and I'm going to put a little bit more effort into it here soon and really cycle it at least a couple times a day. That way I can get it cleaned out real good and then treat the water and recycle it back and forth through. I'll run some well safe in it, and that'll remove any bacteria that may be in it. We got thunder and storms. All right, the pig feeder that I was trying to build here, this is what it is. Let me show you here. All right, so this is a commercial size tire that I got for free. I got 3 of them, and what I did was I cut the sidewall off of it with the Sawzall, and I had these blue barrels left. Well, it didn't work because it didn't fit in that hole. So I got my olive barrel out, and it fits in the hole. So what I'll do is I'm going to try to take that ring, flip it over, and put it on there first to kind of create like a little ramp right there per se. And then I'll cut some holes in the bottom of this. I'll put some weight in the bottom of it, like a couple blocks or something, and then I can take the lid off, pour my feed in there, and I'll put a couple pieces of metal across top of it with some stone on top of it to keep it in place, and that'll create like a continuous feeder for the little piglets. So I'll show you guys that when I'm done. I got that off of another YouTube channel, and I can't remember the name of it right now. Seemed to work out pretty good, but we'll see how it does. And just to let you guys know, I did order the greenhouse Friday, so it should be probably by this week or maybe even next week, and then I can go get it and we can get started on it. So still got my work cut out for me, but it rained almost all day on me yesterday, and it sprinkled a few times here today. It looks like it's probably going to do it again. All right, so the base for the new chickshaw is done. I was actually waiting on the wheels to come, and they came yesterday. They are the lap wagon. They're non-pneumatic, so they won't go flat. So this is the base that I built. This is kind of off of the Justin Rhodes design. I think this thing will hold up to about probably 12 to 15 or 16 chickens at best, but they just need a place to roost at night. So what I need to do is put I'm going to paint it with some barn and fence paint, and then I'm going to put the hardware cloth on it. Now he recommended the 1 inch by 1 inch hardware cloth. He said the poop will go right through it. That's not happening. I got a mound of poop in mine, and I've tried to hose it out 100 times on the other one that I did. So this time I bought 1 inch by 2 inch hardware cloth, and that's what I'll put on there, and then I'll put my perches across there, and I'll show you guys that as we move along with it. So we've had a really good turn of apples this year, and all the trees have produced really well. And the chickens in here, these are the Delaware broilers, and I'll tell you in the beginning, these are very feed inefficient chickens. Even though they're on grass, so they got 160-foot electric netting around them. They are very feed inefficient, though as the fruit has dropped off, they've taken care of that. So we got several varieties of apple trees in here. There's Jonagold, Fuji, I think a Honeycrisp, and maybe a Golden Delicious if I'm not mistaken, but I had to get the trees that would cross-pollinate each other. That's why we got a variety of them. I have a bunch of what I refer to as heritage apple trees that are ready to be transplanted, so I'll be doing that soon, and hopefully before the frost comes, and that way we can have a bigger variety of apples. All right, and now it starts. So these are the Niederrheiners right here. This is a dark Cornish. This is Delaware broiler. Those are Niederrheiners as well. So we hope to get these guys incorporated, and that is a American breast rooster that a friend of ours gave to us because they had more than they wanted. And of course there's the other ones right there. So we'll be incorporating our breeding here hopefully soon. The plan is to get the greenhouse built, and all chickens, and it starts, all the chickens and the rabbits go in the greenhouse for the winter. Now of course I will keep the breeds separated with the ones, the breeding that I want to breed, and I'll do that with electric netting. These guys have torn this greenery up in here. This is deep bedding in here, and they've really done a good job of tilling it up, as you can see over there. So yes, I know it's feeding time, but I got to take care of the piggies first because they're the most demanding. So the side brush hog, man, that thing's done great. I've done a lot of work with it so far. Getting used to that thing, it's fun. So I'll try to get video of it in the future here, using it and everything. But like I said, it's just, I think Chuck from Sheridan Park Farm says using his is like patting your head, rubbing your belly, and chewing gum and walking all at the same time, because you're constantly adjusting that thing, plus you're driving a tractor at the same time, so it gets a little tedious. All right, so I bought a ton of 16% pig feeder, pork maker, I think is what they refer to it as. So I bought a ton of it Monday. This was $557 for a ton. That is tax exempt. I can get it cheaper, about 13 something a bag versus 15 something a bag. But the problem is it's an 80-mile round trip for me to go get it at a cheaper cost versus a 24-mile round trip to go get it where I got this at. So the distance and the fuel costs, you know, they kind of weigh themselves out here. So that's why I went with this. It's a local family-owned store. It's like, well, I take it back. It's 14 miles over, 14 miles back. So the cost and fuel savings versus this, versus the other 80 miles, I'll stick with this. So I've got 12 pigs now, 4 adults and 8 piglets, and they are going through a 50-pound bag a day. Now, the boar, he gets 1 full scoop. The mama pig, she's now separated. She's on pasture in the woods. She gets 1 full scoop, and then Peppa and Pee Wee get a scoop each. But I give 3 scoops to the piglets because they're in the farrowing pen, and they really don't have a lot of forage right now until we can get, hopefully this weekend, get started on that fence and knock it out pretty quick. Then I can turn them loose, and then my feed consumption should go down. And of course that goes with feed cost as well. So Peppa here, we don't know for sure if she is pregnant, but if she is, she should farrow by the end of October, first part of November. Pee Wee and her have this entire paddock to themselves, so their feed consumption, they've actually had feed left over from when I feed them. And these guys are growing. My goodness, how they're growing. So there's 8 of them, and if you're a football fan, here's the squealers for you, because man, every time I try to get in here to give them feed, they lose their minds. So you got to watch your step in there, because they'll trip you. They're in and out between your legs and tripping you up all over the place. And Pee Wee, that's an appropriate name, is just Pee Wee. He's the puppy dog pig of the bunch here. Yes, I'm getting your food. I'm sorry. Mama pig, she's doing good. Yes, I know. It's feeding time. I'll be getting it. She's really making an impact up here. She is still staying close to the piglets, but we separated her, I think, Friday or Saturday. So it'll take about 3 days for her to dry up, because she was very limited in what she was feeding the piglets anyways. So water is still doing good, clean water. She beats that feeder around all over the place. All right, I'll go get your food. So she's doing fine. Will not breed her again until probably early spring. That way we can look for less chance of cold exposure for the piglets when she farrows again. And that's going to be it for me today. I got to get these boogers fed. So that's just an update of where we're at with everything. Still got the wood to chip up, get the firewood stacked. I'll split it at a later date, but get the area ready for the greenhouse when we get it. Now the Department of Highways is getting ready to ditch and pave this entire hollow. Well, not the entire hollow, at least in this county. And I called today, and I'm going to hope to get some soil from them, from the ditches. That way I can set it aside. Of course, I'll have to clean out any trash that's in it, but I'll stay below or stay away from the areas that I know were sprayed by the power company. They've actually started employing a helicopter to do aerial spraying of vegetation on their power lines. And I've had a couple people tell me that over the last couple years they've been doing that practice, their houses have been sprayed, their barnyards have been sprayed, and a couple people even lost their gardens because of it. So I'm not real fond of the glyphosate and the weed killer and stuff. And there's a pig finding the electric fence again. And so I know the areas where they sprayed, it's pretty obvious, and I'm going to try to avoid those areas. I don't think it's too much of a stretch to ask them to get it from specific areas. That way we're not looking at any kind of herbicides and stuff. That way my soil's not contaminated. It doesn't affect anything. But that's it for today. Still a lot to do. Starting to sprinkle again, so I won't get my dew wet. All right, guys, get and stay prepared, stay free. God bless y'all.